Shavuot Tov, everyone. A glorious early spring day in Israel. We are sponsored this month by Sandy and Steve Gratko, Yiddishmat Steve's father, Shraga Feivel Ben Sender, whose yahrzeit is today, and Shalom Shalom Aliyah, and Yiddishmat Steve's mother, Dina Bat Avraham, whose yahrzeit is the next two Shabbatot ahead. Sponsored also this week by Donna Robert Honig, Yiddishmat Donna's father, Yaakov Kappel Ben Moshe, the Chaya Yeta, whose yahrzeit was yesterday, by Julian Richard Ehrlich, Le'inishmat Rachel Miriam Bat Yona, anonymously as a Schutfer for Shlema, for Gittel Rivka Bat Esther Shifra, by Marshall Weinblatt, Le'inishmat Gittel Bat Chaim Yisachar, and Chavriva Bat Aaron Yosef and Bracha, and by Chai Yo Full, Le'inishmat their son Hillel, Avasham Ben Yo Yaakov She Yichye. There's a very insightful and far-reaching comment, famous also, of the Ibn Ezra in yesterday's Sedra, because the Ibn Ezra says, Yesh Litmoa, we should be puzzled. We should be puzzled. How is it? Ich yira machane gadol shel sheish meot elef ish meharodfim achrayhem. How is it possible that 600,000 males, armed, by the way, b'chamushim, should be afraid of the Egyptians that were approaching them? V'lama lo yilachamu al nafsham val b'neihem. Why wouldn't they fight for their lives, fight for their children? Why are they so quick to surrender and say, oh, let's become slaves? You're talking about a massive amount of people. Why are they so quick to surrender? And the Ibn Ezra says that what happened was Hatshuva ki hamitzrim hayu adonim Yisrael, because the Egyptians were the masters of the Jewish people for such a long time. V'zeh hador hayotzei mitzrayim. This generation that left Egypt, they're survivors. Lamad min urav l'sbol ol Mitzrayim. They learned from their very youth that they had to tolerate the burdens, the oppressions of Egypt. V'nafsho shvala. They had a lowly, humble spirit. Ve'ech yuchal ata lilachem im adonav. How were they to be expected to fight their masters? Meaning, they had suffered in Egypt so long that they saw the Egyptians as dominant over them, even if they saw the Egyptians were the ones who were being humbled and humiliated by all the makot that they had endured, including makat bechorot. Nonetheless, they could not shake that image of the great, all-powerful Egyptians who had been their taskmasters for over 2 centuries. Couldn't get rid of that. And that's why the Ibn Ezra says they couldn't fight. They were paralyzed. In fact, added to this, the Meshech Chochmah says that God did not take them the short route to Israel, Derech Eretz Plishtim, because they hadn't yet internalized Hod Mitziut Eloki Yachid Bilti Musag. They hadn't yet internalized this notion of one God who's incorporeal, non-physical, who runs the world. And if they had been taken quickly, right away to the land of Israel, with these thoughts of the idolatry and paganism of Egypt still in their heads and as part of their personalities, they would have quickly succumbed to idolatry of the Amori and the Kanani. So that generation had to disappear, and the new generation had to be nurtured on the opposite of idolatry, the notion of the one God. It's, it's such a powerful insight into human nature. It's what we call here in Israel now the conceptia. You talk it into yourself that things have to be the way they are because they always were. And so you can't do this and you can't do that. Like, oh, people used to say before October 7th, everyone knows how the conflict's going to end, two states. Thomas Friedman, the clown's been writing this for 40 years already. Everyone knows how it's supposed to end. Everyone knows. Now in Israel, no, nobody knows that anymore, except it'll revive because they have no other option. Everyone knows that you can't resettle Gaza. Everyone knows that you can't expel the population. Everyone knows that you just have to live with hostile people in your country who want to destroy you. Because that's the way it is. The world won't allow it, the Americans won't allow it, the UN. Everyone knows it's just the way it has to be. That's the conception. So you say, how is it that a powerful nation, nations across the world, from the United States to Russia to Germany and Poland and China, they all expelled hostile elements. The Americans expelled thousands of people at the revolution who were loyalists, sent them to Canada. Everyone knows. It's because, and this is what the Ebeners are saying, you develop a small mind. You can't think out of the box. You think everything has to be the way it was, the way it is, because that's the way it was. What you need is a larger head, a head that's informed by Torah, a head that's informed by Jewish destiny, and not just the realpolitik of the world. That's what you need. These patterns repeat themselves so often in Jewish history. The Prime Minister, like who's subject to this as well, likes to call this generation of fighters the Dor HaTkuma, like he wants to call the war Milchemet HaTkuma, the war of revival, the war of the Renaissance, the generation of the Renaissance, meaning a generation that is not encumbered by what happened in the past, by the old ideas, the failed ideas of the past. The idea that, yeah, we'll give them land and they want to live with us, because after all, what do they want but land? The failed ideas of the past keep coming back to life like zombies because we see everyone else around us as powerful, as invincible, and we can't accept for ourselves that the only invincible power that exists in the world is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why Moshe says to them, Hityatzvu ur'u et Yeshuat Hashem. Stand here, watch God's salvation. Hashem yilachem lachem, vatem tacharishun. Medrash says God will fight for you, will be silent, not only then, but throughout Jewish history as well. Shavuot Tov.